Thank you for joining us today on 1420 AM KPIR, the news talking sports of Hood County. My name is Jerry Reynolds, I'm the owner here. And today we welcome the Place 2 candidates for the City of Granbury Council. And we have with us Tony Allen, JT Wynn, John Brada, and Phoenix Van Dale. Gentlemen, welcome. I appreciate you guys coming in today. Here's kind of the format. There's just a few ground rules. Please speak slowly and clearly. You'll be limited to 2 minutes per answer. During your introduction, please state your name, and we'd also like to know what the top 2 priorities of your campaign are. So we'll start with that today. Thank you for participating. Good luck with the campaign, and this debate and forum is brought to you by the Lake Granbury Waterfront Owners Association. And first up, we start with John Brada. John, welcome to KPR. Glad to have you here. And please tell us, if elected, what your top 2 priorities of your campaign will be.
Top 2, certainly the first one is water, without any question, a high priority. It's a necessary element to become an economically viable city, and it should be the #1 priority. I would say that it's not going to ask for charity, it's not going to ask for community donations. This should be a priority. If we can come up with $3.5 million for an opera house, the lake should have high priority without any limitations. The other issue is probably spending more money, our money carefully. We have a history of making mistakes, and I think with my experience and in business as well as supervisory capacities, we will have a better handle on things to monitor bad calls, lack of preparation and decisions, lack of understanding of what the ramifications of some of those decisions are. And I don't have to say much other than, we turned a $1.2 million project into a $3.4 million project. That's just an example, and I think there's potentially a lot more, and we need to minimize those things, and we need to minimize those liabilities. My background is 37 years in education, 39 with 37 in supervisory roles, as well as a principal. I have been a business owner. I know real estate very well, financing, budgeting. I've been a business owner. I know law enforcement, and so many things that I would compliment the board with. I do have a master's degree in school administration and a bachelor's degree in police administration. So my background is political science as far as educational situations. I've been a college professor, and I've been an elder. Just so many things 2 minutes does not allow for. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Again, my name is JT Wynn. I'll second that the #1 priority for the city of Granbury is the lake levels. I think it's highly critical for our overall city, our economy. The city is based around the lake, the river that runs through Granbury, and to see whether it's tax dollars because people are not coming to Granbury for recreational use, that has just a trickle-down effect throughout the entire community. The lake homes that are going up for sale, and declining property values, it just has a terrible effect all the way around. I do understand that Lake Granbury is a reservoir lake. It's not meant for recreational, but in the process, I think we've got to find a way to get with our legislature for them to understand that when Lake Granbury was built to hold water, they didn't anticipate 40 years down the road that Lake Granbury and the city of Granbury is highly 100% dependent on the lake levels. And then second priority, we can wrap the Opera House into it, but anything that will draw people to Granbury. We have a lot of, whether they're new residents, visitors, but Granbury has so much to offer, and I think as a city we've got to be able to give those visitors, new residents, all the amenities that we can, not necessarily saying go out and build all new projects, but to utilize and to grow our tax revenue so we can continue to grow. Granbury's going to grow whether we like it or not. It's a wonderful city, and more people will understand that, and we're just going to draw a huge crowd when it comes out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tony Allen, same question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your top 2 priorities would be if elected place 2 in the City of Granbury City Council.
Yes, sir. My name is Tony Allen. I am Presley, the city councilman that these gentlemen are coming after. I hope I win, though. But top priority with all of us is water. You know, I had a guy the other day said he had heard that somebody said, well, they had been fighting for water. I'd went after it a year ago. Well, I was president of the Lake Granbury Waterfront Association when we started it for the first 3 years. We honestly wasn't working for water, we were for taxes, trying to get our taxes lower. And about the time I was getting ready to run for city council, I decided to resign and go into politics. And that's about the time the water started. I have been working with Brian Birdwell, Senator, State Rep Jim Kepper. I met with David Dewhurst, our Lieutenant Governor, and Greg Abbott, our soon-to-be governor. And I had a call today, matter of fact, from Governor or Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst's office. We're going to try to have a meeting in 2 weeks with them. I also sat on the board of the directors for the not the waterfront, but it's a group that 2 from the waterfront, 2 from the county, and 2 from the city. And we're going to try to have them here in 2 weeks and get this thing worked out. Also, Opera House. I tell you, that bond was passed before my time, back in 2007. It was for $1.2 million. When we drawed up the first drawings, we approved them, voted on them, it was 2.2. Mr. Couch got on, and he said that first night that if we'd set up a committee, he could get the price down to 1.7, and he would get it done a lot quicker. I'm not on that committee. It went from 1.7 to 3.4. If you divide that by 2, that is 1.7. So he doubled it. That went for us. I did vote for it. And the reason I did vote for it was I told him that if Andrew doesn't make it, we will have the Taj Mahal there, that we can bring in a management firm from New York or California or Chicago, because we got something to offer them now. And I am a member of Stonewater Church here in Granbury, Texas. My time's up.
Thank you very much. You're listening to a candidates forum, place 2, City of Granbury, here on KPIR 1420 AM. And next up, Phoenix Van Dale. Phoenix, tell us a little bit about you and your top 2 priorities.
I'm just an average guy. I wanted to get involved in this race because I saw a lot of issues that I could do something about. The 2 things that are most important to me is economic development in Granbury and effective water management. So that means more than just the lake level. It means effective planning for the future. I've noticed that not a lot of talk has been made about how to make Granbury water independent, how to make sure that we're not using more water than we have available. Over the long run, it's going to be even more of a dangerous situation when we invite all these businesses in and we keep using more and more water and we don't have a way to replace that water. So that's important to me. And also the economic development issues that would be related directly to the building codes here in Granbury. A lot of people know how strict the building codes are in Granbury. They're notorious for it. It's a difficult process to get through. If you're trying to add on to an existing business, that's difficult. If you're trying to build a new business, the codes are difficult on that as well. I just want to make it something where Granbury is very open to all sorts of businesses, whether it's small or large, whether it's an existing business or something new. I want it to be a level playing field so that Granbury is inviting But at the same time, we want to manage the water that we're using, find new ways to use the water that we have and plan for the future instead of just using what we have ineffectively. And that also includes making sure that we have water in the lake. Everybody agrees that that's our top priority. I'm not no different, but I think that planning for the future is important as well.
Thank you very much. Today's candidates forum is brought to you by the Lake Granbury Waterfront Homeowners Association, SaveLakeGranbury.org. Gentlemen, I've got 6 questions for you, and we'll go in that same order on this first question. So John Brody, you're up first. And that question is, and I will repeat this if you need me to when it's your turn, just so you other 3 gentlemen know. Do you support the BRA's water permit number 5851 for an additional 432,000 acre-feet, which according to the BRA will lower Lake Granbury more than the current water levels? Why or why not?
No, certainly not. I think one thing that we're not hearing is personal lawsuits and suits for damages that should be put in our mindset. We have lots of residences that are losing tremendous assets. I've lost $140,000 in the last few years in my waterfront home as far as depreciation goes. What we need to look at is maintenance and some sensibility here. Our water levels being absorbed quicker than Possum Kingdom and Lake Whitney, and we have more residents, more demand, more recreation. And the other thing is we've been asked to build our boat docks and use our recreational facilities a certain way. We paid for permits, implied good faith by the Brazos River Authority that there'd be a minimal amount of water to use our boats, our boat docks, and recreation. That is not in their agenda. That's not seemingly a concern of theirs, and we need to stop this as we initiated with the attorney firm that has been hired.
Thank you very much. Do you support the BRA's water permit number 5851 for an additional 32,000 acre-feet, which according to the BRA will lower Lake Granbury more than the current water levels? Why or why not?
I absolutely do not support that at all, and the reason being is we can look out at our lake right now and just see dry docks there. I've read and heard talk about the flow down rate from Possum Kingdom to Lake Granbury to Whitney, and from Possum Kingdom to Lake Granbury. From what I understand, most of the docks, if not all the docks on PK Lake, are floating docks, so therefore they don't have such a dramatic effect that our dock owners have to where they're fixed docks and they can't even get their boats down into the water. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent on, from residents of our Granbury people that, for their dock usage, and they can't even use that. The flow down rate from Possum Kingdom to Granbury, the river authority is counting so many docks versus Granbury's docks, but when PK doesn't have near the dock amount that Granbury has, that equation is really skewed for our Granbury residents, and I really hope that there can be. I had mentioned in the introduction that we can get to the legislatures and help them understand this, that we're not playing on the same even playing field when it comes to Granbury and to our lake residents. It's just devastating to see what's happening to their homes.
Thank you very much. Tony Allen?
I'm absolutely 100% against it. I tell you, if you, each one of these gentlemen kind of touched on it about the boat docks. The boat docks that BRA requires us to put is right up against our dock where our buckheads are. BK can go out 100 feet, 150 feet. They could actually go down another 25, 30 feet and still have one because they're floating docks. A small percent of them are not floating, very small percent. The other thing is when I meet with people and talk to them about water, especially in Austin, first question I ask them, where are they going to get the water? you can ask for anything. Actually, they're asking for 1 million and something acre feet of water. They changed that. 432,000 is what their first initial was. And they can't get 432, so they're sure not gonna get 1 million. And I think if you go look at the Colorado River Basin, which runs through Texas, they got 5 reservoirs, 2 lakes. I went to a meeting that the chamber put on about a month ago, and the guy got up from Colorado River Basin, had a big map, and he was showing all the red in Texas, and talking about how bad a drought was in. And so anyway, after he got through, they asked him if I had any questions, and these people know me, I asked a lot of questions, so I held up my hand. And I asked him, I said, well, can you explain to me why Buchanan Lake and Lake Travis are the only 2 low, the rest of them are 98% full? And he said it was an easy question to answer because they're flow-through lakes. And I said, just like Granbury Lake is flow-through from PK. And he says, well, yeah, but you got to get with BRA. It's a management problem here, folks, and it is a management problem from BRA. We do manage our water in the city because we've got 12,000 acre feet of water we buy from them. We only use about 2.8 of that, and my time's up.
Do you support the BRA's water permit, which is number 5851, for an additional 432,000 acre feet, which according to the BRA will lower Lake Granbury more than current water levels? Why or why not?
Absolutely not, because I don't think we should mortgage our future. And that, if we were going to support the BRA's taking up our water, that basically mortgages our future. And I don't think it's a good idea to be selling any water rights, whether they're quote-unquote excess water rights or not. I don't think that's something that is a wise idea for us to do. I know that the City Council in the past has sold our quote-unquote excess water rights, and I don't think that that was a good idea. The BRA tends to keep saying, well, we're in a drought, we're in a drought. Well, when I look around, I see green everything. Everything's green. I look at the stock lakes driving down 377. They're full. All the other things are full, and somehow we're in a drought that seems to only affect us. And so it does seem to be a BRA management issue. They don't like the way we're doing something, or they don't like us. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is that when we get all these big rains, the lake doesn't go up. So that only tells me one thing. That means they're releasing more water than is coming into the lake. And that's their issue, that's not ours. And that's why we have to continue to fight them on everything that they do, so that we can make sure we're sustainable for the future.
Thank you very much. Question number 2, gentlemen. In 2011, the BRA produced a water management plan that included the HAF study. In this study, it shows that a ratio of 1.75 to 1 to be a fair drawdown ratio between Possum Kingdom and Lake Granbury. Do you believe this is a fair ratio, and why or why not? This time, we start with Mr. Wynn. JT Wynn, please come to the microphone and tell us what you think about the HAF study and that ratio of drawdown.
Well, I did touch on that just momentarily a second ago on that drawdown ratio being 1.75 to 1, and they call that a fair assessment on the plan. However, you know, Lake Granbury has 3 times as many docks as what Possum Kingdom Lake has. So if they really wanted to be fair about it and to understand how that effect has on Possum Kingdom Lake to Lake Granbury, you know, we really need to go a 1-to-1 ratio on that. For every, you know, 1 dock that they have, every 1 dock we have, in my opinion, and I'm not a mathematical genius, but that seems to, you know, would make more sense on determining how much water to flow down, and automatically that would raise our lake level. I mean, Possum Kingdom's a much deeper lake than ours. Tony had touched on it. You know, they could go down another 25 foot and not have the effect that we have, but we lose several feet, and we've got dry docks sitting out there. We got people that's needing boat rescues to get their boats, you know, back to dry land so they can take it to another city and use it for their recreational use. So.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, Tony Allen. Do you need the question again, sir?
No, sir. I got it.
Thank you.
Actually, this may be unfair to these other three gentlemen because I have been involved in it through the city. They did a study and they did say one for one is whenever we get a certain amount low in PK. And when they're up, it's 1.75. Ken, I can't think of Ken's last name, I apologize, our first attorney we hired, he's still with us, out of Boston. We hired a guy to do an impact study on that for us, and when it comes back, it should be around 4.6 to 5.2 ratio. The reason for that is because, like JT said, the depth of their lake is so big. If we were going right now on that ratio, we'd be about 2 foot, 2.5 feet low right now. Even with the drought and the mismanagement of water, we'd still have a boat dock. I want to touch on one thing real quick about selling the water, because I'm the one that made the motion to sell the water. At that time, our lake was less than 2 feet deep, or low, I should say, not deep, but low. And the taxpayers in our city pay $620,000 a year for water rights. And like I said a while ago, we use a little of that, percentage of that. And Dale Chemical was wanting to buy it. We sold them $500,000 worth. They were going to buy another $500,000 worth of it, which was about 75 to 80% of it. At the next fiscal year, we sold it to them right before October 1st. They was going to buy it again in January. By that time, the lake had went down about 3.5 feet, so we went back and voted not to sell them the water. Whenever we sold it, everybody tells us, from BRA to engineers, says it went down about 2 inches when we sold the water. I don't know if that's a true statement or not. That's what was told to me and in the council. And one other thing too, I know that we want to change the world when we get on there, and I was one of them that thought that. But my problem was I tried to do 4 or 5 different things at one time. I picked one item and tried to stay with it, no more than 2. The other thing is that we got to keep in mind, we got 1 vote. We don't have 5 votes. So we can promise the world today, but at the end of the day, we got 1 vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Phoenix Van Dale, you're up next. You need the question again, sir.
It's about the drawdown rates.
About the drawdown ratio.
You know, it's obvious that the drawdown rates aren't helping Granbury. You just look at the difference between what our lake looks like and Possum Kingdom's lake looks like. It's obvious that that's not a good ratio. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or a mathematician or any of these other things to figure out that it's not working. Focusing on what we have to do here, hey, you know, new at this for first time doing my radio interview, so I just lost track of what I was talking about.
That's okay.
But the main thing is that we got to look towards the future, and I understand not selling the water rights when we figured out that our lake is going down, and we made a sale in, what was the year?
It was 2010, I believe.
2010, and it's excess water rights. From my understanding, it wasn't a large amount of water that was sold at that time. And of course, when you're looking at a full lake, you're thinking, hey, it's not going to be too much of an issue. And I understand the thinking behind that, but we need to look towards the future more and go, this is something we need to preserve over the long period, because you never know what could come around the corner. You never know if there's a drought, if you're going to have somebody on BRA who thinks, hey, let's release all the water down the lake. Because at that point, you're up a creek without a paddle. And you just got to keep more of a long-term focus.
Thank you. In 2011, the BRA produced a water management study that included the HAP study. In that study, it shows the ratio of 175 to 1 to be a fair drawdown ratio between Lake Possum Kingdom and Lake Granbury. Do you believe that that's a fair ratio? Why or why not?
The BRA has shown us that their concept of what fair is distorted. They've created illusions. They have people believing that we're in a drought and that's why the lake is low. I've been here 6.5 years. This is not the worst that our drought has been. We're getting rain. I'm watching the water level go down during a rainstorm. The water level has not increased. We've had 1.5 to 2 inches in the last couple days. We have people who believe that the lake is down because we've been watering our lawns excessively. We have people who believe that it is the drought that's causing the problem. And all of these distortions are manipulations by the BRA. And what is fair is nothing I would trust them in doing, deciding. What I would like to see is where they're responsible, and maybe some lawsuits, individual damage suits would, as I mentioned earlier, might create some problems. Once one of these lawsuits gets through, whether it's for $500,000 or $1 million or 10 million, we now have 4,000 other lakefront owners who can then move along and sue individually. They need to have some kind of fear, and at this point in time, they do not have that. And we need to be motivated and work together as a city. Keep this as our first priority. Don't allow the any restrictions on pursuing this by the city, and full support, and continue working on this as a very vital and most important project. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, question number 3. Do you support Luminant's expansion of proposal 3 and 4, which will withdraw 60,000 additional acre feet from Lake Granbury and would lower Lake Granbury another 4 feet? Why or why not? And this time we start with Tony Allen.
You know, that's really a good question. Luminous is in Glen Rose, Somerville County. We get less than 1% of the tax revenue off of the plant. But we get a lot of those people that work there live in Hood County and Granbury. They trade with us local, and it's hard to say, no, let's don't let them have it. Now, if BRA manages the water correctly and can show us to where our lake will be within 2 feet full, I have no problem with that. I think the problem over there is that the council, I think there's 3 of us, went to NRC, National Regulations for plants like that. And they had a drawing up there, and they showed us where they had to stay at a certain level at all time. I think it's 771 feet. And so I used to be in the irrigation business for 18 years, so I know a little bit about pump systems. And so I asked them, why couldn't we put a pump in there, store the water in Granbury, and then after it goes down, it's kind of like a trough, is what it is. And when it goes below that, we kick on a pump it back in there. You can have 2 of them. We went and had an engineer to design them. Our company didn't cost us anything. We met with their head of their people. It was about 20 of us out at Harbor Lakes, and they didn't want no part of it. They said they needed the water. So, you know, it's a two-way street here. They need to work with us. We need to work with them. I think it's important for our economy in the long run to have another 2 plants over there. But I would not vote for it unless we were assured our lake would be full and they could get the water over there without draining us. That's the only way I'd vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I actually like Tony's answer on this one. I know I'm running against him, but I actually really do appreciate his answer. If they can assure us that we're going to keep the same lake level and it's not going to completely drain our lake, that's a fine idea. We do have a lot of economic benefit from Glen Rose and from the plant workers out there. Every time there's an outage, our local bed and breakfasts and hotels get a lot of business from those people every time they switch the fuel rods out. So it is a definite economic benefit to the city of Granbury as a whole. But I'm just going to touch on something else that I do know about is when we use all the water in Granbury. John mentioned how people think that conservation is going to be the key. We're in a stage 2 water alert here in Granbury, which means you're only allowed to water your lawns on certain days and you're only allowed to use water in certain ways. But when I looked into that, they said the reason for it and the only way that it'd be lifted, the stage 2 water alert, is if we use less water. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. if we had a full lake and we had full all this, we'd still have the stage 2 water alert. It's according to the people I asked. I asked the people at the city, and I asked the person that was in charge of that, and they said, according to the regulations that they have, unless we use less water, they're not going to lift that regulation.
Okay, Mr. Bryan?
If there was some benefit, it could be financial. However, the financial losses right now are insurmountable. We're losing money at figures that we can't even calculate. Lost property tax revenues, lost sales tax revenues, lost business, hotels. So anything that's going to jeopardize that and make it any worse is a definite no. However, as in everything, I think the details, and I don't have the details and the specifics and the cost effectiveness of something like this. If we had the lake level guaranteed to a minimum, certainly as mentioned, that would be fine. However, I'm not too sure who's trustworthy to say anyone is going to keep the level at any level. And where the money's going, it's my understanding that we're outside of the power plant. We've put a limitation on water being purchased, and yet the water's going somewhere. There's a lot more water going out than what's being used for the power plant. So I think the court date next year is going to divulge a lot of information about how the BRA is using the water and where their funds are coming from and some of their motivation. Thank you.
Mr.
Anything that is to throw out there to lower the lake level more than it already is without any plan to maintain or rise or replace, I'm not for that. I'll also echo the fact, the brotherly love between Somervell County and Hood County and the residents, the Hood County residents that work at the power plant. It's vital between the two counties to show brotherly love, but the management of the water system, obviously there's some issues there. Hopefully, with the money that we're putting forward to go down to Austin and speak to the legislature, that we can figure out the management process of this. I do believe that if it's managed properly, that that additional water to supply the power plants could be done. However, if it's ongoing as is, then I would certainly not support that, because selfishly our economic livelihood is just about drained, and not to mean pun on that, but it really is. Our property values are decreasing, and I mentioned this earlier. If we could just get to the legislature and help them understand where Granbury really fits into this whole fold, and maybe we can get them to change their way of thinking, that we're not just a reservoir holding lake, that we're a thriving economy here that depends on that water. So.
What do you think will be the economic impact to Granbury if TCEQ approves the BRA's permit request for 432,000 acre-feet of water in addition?
God could bring us more rain on a more regular basis, and then we wouldn't have to worry about it. However, droughts are cycle, and what's going on right now is a cycle. And the difficulty here, I think one thing that's been damaged permanently is the fact that this is not a constant level lake has become very vivid to everyone. And most of us bought here thinking it was. That won't happen in the future. People will know that this isn't a constant level lake. We're going to see prices as soon as there's water. If houses can sell, we're going to see prices drop considerably. And The answer to the question, though, is planning. We need to be prepared. We need to be developing other alternatives for tourism, and obviously we're a hub, and we've been very blessed in that we have big stores and businesses that like coming here, and we can keep our city as desirable as possible. We've done a lot of things to do that, and as long as we can continue doing that, we can offset much of this. And this is not a simple answer to be had. It has to be planned and studied, and we need to look at all alternatives and all considerations and all ideas. The depth of this can't be comprehended without even a community input. There's going to be businesses out there that are going to see shortcomings that we haven't even thought about. There's going to be residents that have visions of things that we need to do. So a long study and preparation, and will we survive it? With the cycle of rain, I think that would help a great deal. So there's going to be times, even at worst, that we are going to have a recreational lake, but there's going to be consequences as well if this, and they'll be severe if this does go through, is upheld.
Well, it's obviously not going to be good. It's going to ruin our property values. It's going to ruin our tax revenue that we get into the city. It's going to really take a hit on tourism, but it's not going to kill us. Obviously, we need to do everything to fight it. We don't want to destroy our city, but we need to make plans just in case it does get passed to keep our economy vital. We have a lot of businesses in Granbury. They're not going to suddenly disappear if our lake turns into a giant mud puddle. We still need to fight this with all that we have. There is going to be a large economic impact, but it's not doomsday and it's not the apocalypse. That said, we should do everything we need to do to fight it. I heard a lot of people talking about, well, we need to have contingency plans. And I don't think a lot of people have discussed what do we do to preserve Granbury's future if something like that does get passed. If we spend the millions of dollars to fight it, which we're going to need to do to protect Granbury's future, and we lose, well, what happens at that point? Do we have an economic base that's strong enough to withstand the loss of our tourism, the loss of our property taxes on the lakefront properties? We need to plan for both events, to do whatever we need to do to fight the BRA, and then plan just in case we lose, because we need to be responsible with our future, and being responsible with our future means that you plan for all eventualities.
Thank you very much.
Well, I do think it's obvious that it's going to have a tremendous economic impact on Hood County. I don't think we're going to dry up and turn into a ghost town. Granbury has a lot to offer, just as a community as a whole. As I said, we are a pass-through community going out to the west, between Fort Worth and out to Stephenville. We're kind of it. We're the hub right in the center, and we really have an opportunity to grab onto that, as we've seen with some of the bigger names coming into business around there. I believe in order to offset, we've got to continue to bring in those added amenities, whether it's a shopping center or for people to stay here, so we can hang on to our tax dollars and put that back into the city coffers. The residential property market, obviously, it will take a huge hit, and which will affect our everyone's property tax valuation at that point. But it will take a lot of planning. The contingency plans, which already have been mentioned before. I'm as a citizen, I'm curious to know if there's a contingency plan in the works. The what if it does pass this. So we'll just have to see with that, and just let's all certainly pray to God that it doesn't pass, so we don't have to worry about that, and then, we can start working toward the future in that aspect.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I think we're in trouble. Not just the people who live on the water, people who live off the water. The commercial people are gonna be really hurt. I tell you, I got a friend that owns Fun and Sun here. He lives in Cleveland, but he owns several places around the lakes. He sold one boat this year in Hood County. He's already laid off, I think he said 6 employees. That hurts. We have hired, I believe it was a county that hired, give the funds for us to hire a company out of Austin to do the economical study for us. And it wasn't pretty. I mean, it came back at, if our lake continues like it is, yes, the city and county both are gonna be hurt. Our properties on the lake are gonna go down, our taxes are gonna go down, but it's gonna be passed on to commercial and people that live off the lake, which is bad too. Anytime you go up on taxes, it's bad. Also, do we have a plan? We've talked about this in the council a couple of times about, what we do if this really happens. Well, first of all, that's whenever the second lawsuit comes in. Right now, we're not suing nobody, we're working with them. But let's say that they got the extra water they wanted. Okay, unless we got a deal cut with them before then, we're not no better off. And like Mr. Braddock said, God gives us rain, but what you left out was BRA takes it away. And they do. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be smart about that, but it's really sad. It's a management problem with BRA that we got to get to the bottom of it. I know that I was on the EDC board for about a year and a half. I resigned or got off of it the last meeting, or meeting before last. And the reason for it is I wanted to get with this water because I think this is more important. But we've got a manufacturer coming into town that's going to be meeting next Wednesday night. It's going to employ about 200 employees. It's a plastic recycling is all I can say. I really don't know all the detail on it, I tell you. We've got another factory of 500 employees that are looking at us. It's between us and one other city. Both these companies are. We can get either one of those, that's going to help us. Still need a lake, still need a water, but we've got to work for it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, next question. And first up for this one, we'll start over again with Mr. Broderick. The City of Granbury, Hood County, and the Lake Granbury Waterfront Owners Association each contributed $100,000 for a total of $300,000 toward the legal team of Haynes and Boone. Now, all candidates have already agreed that this was a good decision. There is a possibility that Haynes and Boone will need additional $200,000 to finish legal opposition to the BRA's permit request. If elected, are you willing to commit another $100,000 from the city towards legal fees if necessary?
I would be willing to commit more than that. There's $100,000 in light of our total budget of $39 million and control of over almost $60 million for the city. 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I don't think we should be asking our community to contribute. I think that's a bad message. The message should be that this is a high priority, and this is why. Educate those that don't understand it, and move full swing as to whatever needs to be done. And I say whatever needs to be done. There was some question about Haynes and Boone in the last council meeting, and there was some concern by one of the councilmen, and some questions weren't answered. In retrospect, it seems though they're well respected and they're commanding the attention of those parties involved. So it looks like a good choice, and a strong choice, and an expensive choice. But whatever it takes, I think money is not the issue here, because the consequences of losses are not even comprehensible, as I mentioned before. So yes, I would be in favor of a financial commitment for it to continue.
All right, and Mr. Wynn, if elected, are you willing to commit another $100,000 from the city toward legal fees if they're needed?
I think it would be important to commit to that. go in 300,000 and not see it all the way through. That 300,000 is a lot of money to put on the table and then not be able to see it through. The overall outcome of whatever money it may take will certainly draw benefit for the whole county and the citizen, every citizen in Hood County, whether we live on the lake or don't. I personally, I'm not a lakefront owner, but I know that I will be affected if we lose the additional water and our county our lake residents start moving away from here. It's only going to trickle over to me and my non-lake neighborhood. So, an additional fund, as it was just said, I believe we got to have the mindset that we're in this for the long run, because the water rights for this city is critical, and whatever amount of money I hate to advocate an open checkbook on this, and that's not it at all. It's just putting up $300,000 and then stopping there. If it does require more money, it just doesn't make sense to me to pull out of the game at that point.
Thank you, sir.
The answer is yes. I agree with them. And I tell you, if y'all were at the council meeting or anybody watching this or listening to it, I had to fight hard to get the $100,000 out of our city. Myself and one other councilman went over and talked to the county because they were wasn't for sure which they wanted to do it or not. And they voted on it before we did. And it took us about 3 votes because somebody would say, well, you didn't dot the I or you didn't cross the T. And I mean, it was aggravating because of the money that we stand to lose here. I talked to David Dewhurst and I told him, I said, it's not fair for the taxpayers of Hood County or our city really to have to put up this $100,000, or the county put up $100, or the waterfront raising $100, because they're already taxed to death anyway, all of us. I said, we need our state reps, we need our senator, we need our congressman. I mean, standing on their table, hitting them, getting after them, and standing behind us. And we're not getting that. Brian Bertle's done an excellent job. His hands are tied. He can go so high and that's it. And yes, if we need to spend $1 million, I'd be for it, because the first year our appraisals come in like they're predicting, we're going to lose a lot more than $1 million, folks. I'm telling you, we're in trouble, big trouble. And sometimes in business it happens, but we need to try to prevent that from happening. And if it takes some money, we need to put it out there and back this thing 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Phoenix Van Dale, if elected, are you, sir, willing to commit to another $100,000 toward the city's legal fees?
Absolutely. I agree. Everybody in Hood County is affected by the lake level, and so everybody is going to be affected by the cost that we're going to have to spend to protect our lake level. Whether it's coming out of private individuals' pockets, or it's coming out of the city budget, we're all taking part in, because all that city budget money, that comes out of our tax revenue. That's all our money that we're spending. So we're all going to be contributing. It's all going to be a group effort one way or the other, whether it's private individuals or the city. And we're all going to stand together, and we're all going to work to do whatever it takes to protect our city's future. And so absolutely, for spending that money. As I heard before, when you have the best, it costs more. It's going to be more expensive to hire the best, and we're going to need the best to fight the BRA. BRA is not very accountable. When they say they're accountable to the people, that actually means nobody. And so there's going to have a lot of outside pressure brought on them to be able to change their minds. And so that's what you have to do, is you have to fight them with bucks.
Thank you, sir. And gentlemen, this is your final question. This will be also your last opportunity to make a statement of anything that you wish. But the question is, and we start out with Mr. Wynn, moving forward, what would you pledge to the citizens of Granbury that will protect and preserve Lake Granbury?
What I would pledge is my commitment to work with a group of people. It was said early on that only one vote, a 5, I would pledge my heart and soul for the city of Granbury. This is my hometown. I've been here for 13 years. My kids have grown up here. I hope they continue to live here as they grow older as well. But I want the citizens of Granbury to know that I believe in strong morals, integrity. God is my director to make the right decisions, but also do it with a group of people for a common goal. As a council, not everyone's going to be, I guess, play fair and nice. From what I hear, but I think that as a group of people that should all be out for the common goal of what's best for the city of Granbury, that we can find common ground and truly understand what the vision of Granbury is, and move toward that, move to the future. I've heard it said that people want Granbury to stay back to where we were years and years ago, but that's not going to happen. We've got to get past that, and we just have to really find out what it is in the future that we want this city to look like, to build our infrastructure, and to be able to get Granbury to the place to where it is a place where many more people can call home.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir. And next up, same question, is Tony Allen. What, sir, would you pledge to the citizens of Granbury that you will protect and preserve their lake?
Well, I've done that for 3.5 years, and I will continue. I always put the taxpayers first. I don't put myself first or my business first. I put the taxpayers first. As far as the lake concerned, I've been fighting it since I moved here with the Waterfront Association for taxes, and then at the end was water for me, and then they took it from there. I think it is one of the most important things we can do. Also, I think looking at the city, my wife and I have been married 47 years. We raised and grew up in Cleveland, moved away to Virginia for 18 years, had a successful irrigation landscape business, and a founder in a bank that I'm still involved in there in Northern Virginia. And I think as long as you put your trust in God on your decisions, and we say a prayer every council meeting, and I pray for that I'll make the right decisions. Have I made the wrong decisions in the last 3.5 years? Absolutely I have. And I tell you, I don't think there's anybody on the council can say they never made a mistake, because we do. But we ask the citizens to forgive us if it hurt them or offend them or my family. But I'll do everything in my power to keep this water like we need it, and also keep our taxes down. We lowered the taxes the last 3 years I've been on there. We've also lowered the water rate. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. We raised the water rate. We lowered the electrical rate. We found out after I was on there for a year and a half that we sold our water. That's before I got on the council. Year 2017, we have no water except well water. So we already got a plan in for our treatment plant. We passed a $3.2 million bond. We got, I believe they said we'd have 14 wells going by the end of the year. So that should bring our water rate down. Also, I want to thank y'all, the radio station, the Waterfront Association. Thank you gentlemen here. You're all good guys, every one of them. I was kidding John. I said if I had his education, I'd be running for school board and I'd vote for him. But every one of these guys are good. I can't say a thing wrong with them. I do need your vote, want your vote, ask for your vote. But any of these guys are good guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Van Dale, Phoenix Van Dale, the question for you, sir, is what would you pledge to the citizens of Granbury to protect and preserve their lake?
That is fight the BRA every way possible and keep it transparent. One of the things I noticed in Granbury is nobody knows what their city council's doing. Everybody's clueless. So they're like, I don't know what's going on. I put every vote that is taken on the city council on a Facebook page that would be public. Everybody could view and know what's going on in the city council so that they can be tuned in and Granbury can be more connected with their elected leaders. I think that's one thing that's missing. not only a fighter's attitude to be able to take the fight to them, but transparency so that the community as a whole knows what's going on and is actively engaged in the process. I think that's something that's missing. A lot of people had a lot of questions, a lot of, you're going to fight to keep the lake level up, and everybody agrees with that, but it's more a question of how are we doing it and what are we doing to keep the lake level up. And part of that is the future, planning for the future, like Tony said, the wells going in, the water treatment plant, making sure Granbury becomes water independent so we're not having to have these stage 2 water regulations. We have more freedom in our city to open our arms towards all these new businesses, to bring them in and not have to worry about where we're going to get the water to provide to them. And so that's what I do. And you can go on Facebook at Vandale for Granbury City Council 2013 if you want to check out any more.
Thank you, sir. And
I can
Mr.
use that
Browder,
for-
you've got the last word today. And we'd like to know what you would pledge to the citizens of Granbury about protecting and preserving Lake Granbury.
Thank you, Jerry. 100% commitment to stop the BRA from its irresponsible direction. Whatever we need to do that. We need to concentrate more, maybe at a higher level. I know Tony's worked on our state level people. We need more. We need more success. It's not happening. We're not seeing anything tremendous jump out at us. And our problem has really existed for a year and a half. And we had no anticipation of the problem to begin with. That lack of awareness needs to be prevented in the future. We need to get a better big picture. I would commit myself. There's no personal gains for this position for me. I'm retired. I can give as much time as I need to. I promise that commitment. I promise to use the expertise that I've gained in my 39 years of employment. I will do the homework that's necessary to make decisions that don't have negative ramifications and consequences and increased cost. I bring with me conservative Christian values on spending, on direction, and on being deliberate in what we do, making sure over and over again. I'm a question asker. I make sure that every little thing, that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And that's a commitment I make to the citizens of Granbury. And I would ask for their consideration for a vote coming up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jerry.
Gentlemen, I thank you for coming to the station today. I'm a fairly new business owner to Granbury. I bought this station back in April. We're making some very positive changes, but I'm also a waterfront homeowner in Day Cordova Bend. So this has obviously been on my heart and mind too, especially when you look out and if you lower your boat, it's going to be sitting on dirt. And that's what I've got in my house in Day Cordova. So I thank you for your time and thank all of you for listening to this debate between Tony Allen, JT Wynn, John Brada, and Phoenix Vandale. They are all candidates for the Place 2 City of Granbury City Council coming right up here. And I thank the Lake Granbury Waterfront Owners Association for being our sponsor today. And I thank you for your time and thank you most of all for listening to 1420 AM KPIR, the news, talk, and sports of Hood County.